So next up on the list is hopefully something fairly simple. Ooh, love that. Whiteout. What do you got, Fernando?
I have a big van.
This is a big van. This thing is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, big white van, scary, huh? Wonder what gets done in one of those. Either way, we're gonna replace the radio in this thing with some kind of a Pioneer, I believe, single DIN. So let's get started. To take out this radio, we need a set of keys. There they are right there. Yeah. Car's this way. Car's.
Tools are this way.
You don't need any tools, man.
No.
No. Alright, and these, you got a little slit here. Hold on. There we go. We got a little slit here and a little slit on the other side. Ooh, love the click sound. Alright. Oh, goody. So the reason why he's replacing the radio is because it says code and he doesn't know the code. I mean, yes, so it's a piece of crap radio, but still, I'm pretty sure he wasn't worried about that. Alright, I'm gonna get over to the bench and start wiring this thing up. So for this install, we're gonna use the BK CR1. This is a dash kit that snaps right into place. And of course, it doesn't come with any instructions, so that's awesome, but this should just snap right into place. We're gonna use the 1784 wiring harness. Now what we need to do is, before we get started, we need to go out and check to see, one, if it has an accessory, and also is the accessory and the 12 volts in the right spot. So we'll do that in a minute. We have 2 blue wires. These are for amplified antennas, or an amplifier. We have the antenna adapter that we're gonna need. And then for this, we're gonna put in a DEHS 4010 BT. That's a mouthful. Alright, let's take this over to the car and check. Alright, so what we want to do is set our meter to volts DC. That's the line with the dots beneath it. And we want to check first to see which one of these is constant 12 volts. So we're going to go ahead and just set this over it like this. Find our ground, which is brown. Go ahead and put that in, and then we'll test here. So this one is showing us 12 volts. Fortunately, in the harness, that is the red wire. So we automatically know that these two are going to be reversed. Let's make sure we have an accessory. So for that, we'll test where the red is. Can you turn the car on for a second? All right, so we have 12 volts. Turn the car off. The red and the yellow are definitely switched. Now, if the radio was working, we'd be able to test and see what kind of FM reception we had, but since it's not, we're gonna have to save that one till the end. Let's see what else we have here. All right, so we might have an illumination. Let's test that. Turn the lights on. All right, so illumination, definitely turn the lights off. Really, at the end of the day, the only wire we have that we don't know what it is this black one right here. So if there's gonna be any form of amplifier, it's gonna be that one. These two on the end here are not gonna be for the radio. We don't wanna mess with those, more than likely. Those are things we don't wanna play with. So now we know what we got going on here. We'll go back in and wire up the radio. Alright, so it seems like this guy just has a standard antenna, nothing fancy there. It's moving? Yeah, it did for a second there. Okay. Sometimes even the easiest of tasks gets difficult. There's 2 little lips here and here that these were attached to. These go over the bottom of the radio and lock it in place or hold it or something like that. Either way, it's prohibiting our radio that's a little wider from sliding in. So we need to remove them. Alright, let's try this again. What time is it? Alright, this one is done. On to the next one. So every now and then a car comes in that you just don't have an answer for the question that they're asking. In this case, we have a Honda Accord. And the story in this is that the radio stopped working. And it's not a code issue like most Hondas where they just don't know the code. It just doesn't work. And then the air conditioner. Some of the buttons on the air conditioner work. Some of the buttons on the air conditioner don't work. Now, he's tried to go to a junkyard, get a new radio with a code, put it in, and the radio will work in the new one, but the air conditioner still doesn't work. Now, part of the buttons work on the AC, but the climate control doesn't. And then some of the lights don't light up. Thought is, if we add in PAC's new Honda Accord dash kit, this guy right here, the RPK4-HD1101, that maybe all the functions will come back. The hit or miss on this one, I don't have an answer for it. We're gonna go ahead and get the factory radio out, try plugging that kit in, and see if we can get everything to work again. If we can, great, we'll proceed with the install. If we can't, we'll put it back in, pat him on his back, and say, hey, thanks for stopping by. It didn't work out. Without further ado, let's get this radio out, get that kit plugged in, see if we can't make magic happen. This piece right here, this is one of the most fragile pieces in the car when you're taking it apart. For some reason, it likes to crack right here, and the reason why is because this seems to be the place where everyone wants to stick their pry tool. Don't stick your pry tool here. Go to the sides, because that's where your clips are. So start here, gently pull up on either side. There's 6 clips that hold this thing in. Utterly ridiculous. In the not an ashtray, remove this, and then you're gonna have 2 Phillips screws behind there holding that in. And pull that guy out. 1 plug in there, just the cigarette lighter, and that's it. And behind there, there's 2 more screws, 1 here and 1 over there that hold this pocket in. Now there's going to be a screw here and a screw here that hold the bottom portion of the radio in. Now we have the bottom of the portion of the radio ready. We have to remove this. Now this guy here is one big piece. There's clips that go at an angle along the side. You want to start here with the front, as someone already has, and just kind of keep rocking back and forth until you can get into it.
With yours. With yours.
Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can gorilla grip on the back of this thing and just push it forward, and the whole thing will pop out. Now for this, all you need to do is set it up in the dash just like this, and or turn it a little bit just like that. You just need to get to these 3 screws across the top of the radio here. Alright, so we're gonna go over to the bench, grab the kit, and let's see if we can plug it in and make it work. So inside the box we get some instructions, big piece of foam, the actual kit, some mounting brackets, some screws, the air conditioning panel, wiring harnesses, some mounts. Alright, so check your parts that you have against the part list that you see here. It gives you the instructions on how to remove it like we just talked about. There's parts that you need to cut, which we'll go back to if this works. Now what we want to do is just see if we can get this thing to turn on. So even though we may not be using this, we want to make sure we set the steering wheel controls up. Now it says you have to look. Now you have to look at your factory radio to see if it's a single zone or dual zone. Right here it has a dual zone indicator, plus it has the 2 dual zone knobs. So we know this is a dual zone. So on this piece here, it says for single zone use and for dual zone use. This is the dual zone, so that's what we're gonna be using. We can go ahead and peel this sticker back. So we'll just go ahead and put it in a loop like that. Now on the back here, it gives you a brief description of what all this stuff is, just in case you're wondering. So we wanna go ahead and remove this harness here. This is going to plug into the back of the kit as well as the unit itself. Now these are black tip plugs that are plugging into white clips. Now we're going to go ahead and open this guy up, and what we want to do is come in here and grab the accessory and the constant 12 volts, and we're going to just go ahead and cap those off, and then we're going to go ahead and plug it in here into the kit. Alright, so I think we're all set. Now it does say this guy right here, go ahead and remove before use. Remove LCD cover before, so we'll go ahead and we'll just, I don't think it's totally necessary, but we'll go ahead and just peel it back, and we can put it back on if we need to. All right, let's go ahead and plug it in and see what happens. All right, so we get our fan speed, mode, temperature, AC, max AC, defroster, circulate, dual zone, auto. Alright, it looks like it's retaining everything. Really, this was the main problem with his, is that the fan speed didn't work. So I think we're a go. As we said, it works, that's good. Now what we need to do is just go ahead and build the rest of this kit, get it into the car. For this install, we're gonna go with this guy right here, which is FH-X820BS. I'm gonna go ahead and get this out and get the mic over to Fernando, because he was anxiously waiting to put it in the car. Now we'll go ahead and open up these little bags right here. These are the switches that are gonna go here. Now depending on whether you have a single zone or a dual zone, here on page 5, that's what it's talking about. If you have a dual zone, according to this, we want to put the dual here and the auto here. And of course we could save these 2 buttons if we want to. So we're gonna do a double DIN, and we've talked about this. This guy right here is for the pocket. So we just wanna go ahead and remove this. We wanna go ahead and open up the bag of screws that it comes with. Grab your Phillips head screwdriver. So on each side clip, there's a right and a left. We've gone ahead and pre-screwed in these 6 screws. We just want to slide these in place and tighten it down. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll slide this guy into place. Flip the kit over. Make sure there's no gapping. And there isn't, so we won't need to foam it. Now we have more screws that it's supplied us with. Let's go ahead and get this thing screwed in. Check your gapping. Now, the reason why we leave this on here is because these screens are a little soft and we don't want to scratch them at all when we're putting these things in. This guy right here, that is not needed unless you have the navigation system, this one right here. This is a top spacer, so if you're doing the navigation kit, then you'll need this, otherwise you won't. One last thing before we're done is we have to put on these little panel clips. So we're gonna go ahead, and I always like to pinch them before I put them on because they seem to never be tight enough. Now we're done with this for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and plug the harness back into it just so that it's not in the way of everything else. And we'll set this aside for right now and work on the harness. All right, so we do have to do a little trim work into the dash to get the radio to fit. This guy right here, which is the bottom support for the radio, what we wanna do is remove it, but we wanna make sure we leave the left and right clip in place. So let's go over into the car and remove it. So what they want us to remove is this area right here and this area right here. So we're going to remove this, and we want to make sure that we leave enough for that clip to go ahead and clip back in. There's like a factory bump right there that we've drawn that line on. So now that we've gone ahead and removed this, we're gonna move on to this section right here, blocking the air from the air ducts behind the radio. So if you have a dual zone air control, that's what they gave you this for. This is to re-insulate the factory air ducts. And if you stick your hand, here's an image here. You wanna refer to this image. And they have all these arrows pointing to it. This is located in the dash. Now what you have to do is reach your fingers up behind it, and you'll feel there's a piece of foam stripping that goes along that area. And what they want you to do is use this, not this entire piece, but portions of this to go ahead and seal that. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is just cut us a 2.5 inch piece that we can hopefully L up into that. And the purpose of doing this is because the sensors on the kit, these guys here and here, these are the air sensors for the automatic air. If there's leaks behind the radio, then they won't work properly and they won't necessarily cool your cabin or heat your cabin to the right temperature. So they want you to block these. Now, once you've done this, before you button the dash back up, before you slide this all in, you want to turn it on, let it blow, and make sure that there's no air coming into the dash or it's directed someplace else. So let's go ahead and get this in. Here's the piece the picture is referring to, is this guy right here. And what they're, if you stick your hand up here and or look diagonally into it, you'll see this foam area. So what we want to do is take this piece here and fold it up into this area, blocking the air. Now, we're probably just gonna cut this in half too, to just do one side and then the other. All right, so we got that. We have a little bit left over. We'll set this to the side just in case we have any leaks when we're done. You don't have to worry about coming in the top here because this is all sealed. This is not part of this. All right, let's get back to the bench. Alright, so important notes are at the bottom of page 1. And these, of course, are the things you want to read before we get to this point in the video. Like I said, this was an odd situation. What we have specifically is note 2. Number 2, it says black, white, navigation, steering wheel input. And its steering wheel portion of it is the voice and back button. That wire needs to be hooked up to retain those because this car has the voice and back button. So when we turn the page to page 4, we see right here where it says connecting the black-white wire. This wire is only needed when the vehicle is equipped with the factory navigation system and when supporting voice and back steering wheel controls are present. Route the white-black wire from the RP4 to the vehicle's harness down to the passenger side kick panel. Connect the white-black wire into the gray plug located on the 6-pin connector. Disconnect the 14-pin green connector from the navigation module located in the trunk area. So what we need to do is connect to this 6-pin blue connector. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the passenger side of the car, remove the kick panel, and find this connector.
What we do here is go back.
Alright, I don't have that plug.
Okay, so I'm looking at it. Spending way too much time trying to figure this out, and normally we wouldn't have had to go through all this because if we would have had a functioning radio we would have seen that these buttons don't work. The best I can surmise after talking with Tony at AMP.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've never seen that scenario, that those two buttons when it wasn't in an app car.
And realizing that there's a good chance this steering wheel doesn't belong in this car, because according to him, when they did this kit, they went through all the build logs and they never found one that had this steering wheel in it. So they didn't account for that. So going on that premise, the thought was that maybe this car was wrecked, airbag got deployed, this is what they replaced the steering wheel with. They just grabbed a used steering wheel, threw it in the car, and it had these buttons on it. The customer doesn't know because they just got this car, so they don't know if this stuff works or not. So I mean, we were kind of over a barrel on this one as far as trying to, what do we do? So what we did is, of course, remove this, and I was able to test for continuity between the gray wire that everyone's talking about and the pin location here on the top. There's only one plug up there that is for all these features. The other one is the airbag, and of course it's not in that. And after being able to put a mirror on the dash and probe all where there were no wires, we were able to see that one of the pins wasn't pinned, meaning that this car was never intended to have this steering wheel. Good thing that it's easy enough to put a pin in, snap it back together. We're gonna run this wire, we'll have these features, and it'll function for the first time. Bad news is we had to go through all this to find out. Sometimes they're like that. I mean, we knew when we took this car that there was a chance that strange things would happen because the radio wasn't functioning in the first place, the air conditioning wasn't functioning. So this was just like, this is one of those cars where it's just like, do I take it? Do I do it? You know, we just keep running into hurdles that we weren't prepared for, which is why we're not making this one the build video for this kit. We really wanted to, but this would definitely not be an ideal situation to show you guys how to put this in these cars, because this one is just this is one of those that takes way too long and has sucked. However, we have it figured out now, so we're golden there. We're gonna go ahead and lengthen this wire, solder some on so we can get it up into the dash, and maybe, just maybe, almost finish this car. God, I'm so excited. Alright, well this one was definitely a fun time to be had by all. Not even close. But it's done, and that at the end of the day is really all that matters. You excited?
Totally.
Totally excited that it's done. Alright guys, so that's it for this one. On to the next one.